Thank you all for joining. We'll give it another 10-15 seconds just to allow some of the other participants to join, and then we'll get started. Well, let's kick off. Thank you all for taking the time out today to join us on this webinar. And what we want to try and cover is quite a big subject in a short space of time, and really focusing on how to reduce the energy costs within the industrial sector. My name is Bilal Vindani, and I'm the UK and Ireland country manager for Dexma, and I've spent my whole career within the building automation energy management space, working across multiple sectors and verticals around the globe, including the industrial sector. I'm looking forward to spending today's session with you, but I'll allow Danny, my colleague, to introduce himself.
Thank you, Bilal. Well, I'm Daniel Spence. I run the expansion department for Dexma to potential key countries. Together with Bilal, we're very pleased to be here, and we will help you and guide you through how the solution can tackle the main challenges of today's industry main concerns.
Thanks, Danny. So you'll see we've got a bit of an agenda prep for today's session, and we'll be covering a number of different topics. And we will start with going through, obviously, the rising cost of energy and the impact that's had on the industrial sector. Danny will then take us through how platforms such as Dexma can really help the transformation of digitalization and centralization from an energy management perspective. We'll then spend a bit of time to look at a use case and take a day in the life of a plant and sustainability director. And we'll finish off with some success stories from some of our clients who've seen some significant gains when using Dexma as their energy management platform. So let's kick off. Looking at the current context, the UK especially has set some aggressive targets within the industrial sector, and by 2050 have set plans to reach net zero. And within the UK, 65.1 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions is attributed to the industrial and commercial sectors. And when you break that down even further, 19% of total greenhouse gas emissions coming from the industrial sector, it's no wonder that the UK governments have put some aggressive plans to really help these industries to transform when it comes to decarbonisation. 29% is the overall energy consumption of the industrial sector within the UK market. And if we look at the impacts on cost of energy, it's been staggering. I mean, 865% increase in the price of electricity from the period of September 2021 to 2022, from £55 per megawatt per hour to over £500 per megawatt hour, is a huge amount of increase when it comes to electrical cost. The same effects we've seen across gas pricing, and again, another staggering statistic of over 764% increase in the prices of gas from the same period, which is having a huge impact, especially in high intensity energy users such as the industrial sector. So the cost of energy as a driver for efficiency within the manufacturing cost process is really what organizations we see are having a challenge with today. And when you consider that when producing a widget or an output, there is the cost of the raw materials, the direct labor costs, the indirect manufacturing costs, and the indirect manufacturing costs are those types of costs that can not be directly attributed to a specific line item within the manufacturing process. For many organizations, understanding that energy impact is essential because energy makes up a large percentage of the cost of the final product. And that's really where, through today's session, we'll share with you tools and how Dexma can really help organizations transform the way in which they manage their energy consumption. But let's dig now a bit deeper in terms of that cost attribute to an output. And these statistics come from other European countries, but 5.3% is the impact of energy cost on the selling price of a final product within the timber industry, for example. And if we look through other sectors such as the chemical industry, 7.2% is the cost of energy impact, not so dissimilar in the paper industry, and the numbers start getting bigger as you get into more industrial environments like the metal industry, as well as the construction. So that cost, that increased price, the added pressure of decarbonization is really what organizations are challenged with. And it's through the digitalization and adoption of technologies such as Dexma that we can really help our partners and customers transform the way in which they bring data from their sites and multiple sites around the world. And Danny's going to now take us through some of those key capabilities that you can expect when going through that digitalization strategy. Danny, over to you.
Thank you, Bilal, for the insightful explanation. So I'm going to explain pretty much how utilizing digitalization as a foundation for standardizing and centralized energy management and costing. So we start with the multi-site management. So management of numerous places that is centralized and uniform. You're going to be able also to compare it with various zones, factories, or production methods. This is a pretty powerful tool for multi-location projects in which you can have a logical structure and have indicators by area quickly and efficiently. You can also organize locations by hierarchical or geographical criteria, right? So therefore, this allows analyzing your locations in a more detailed manner. For instance, adding the energy consumption of electricity, gas, water, etc. Now, regarding ratios and indicators, we all know that ratios are used for analyzing consumption in a detailed way. Well, the platform offers the possibility of creating different types of ratios that can adapt to your different portfolio needs, right? So you can apply these ratios based on manufactured tons, surface area, or parts that will homogenize energy consumption. It is important also to be able to compare your different plants or manufacturing processes, and not only to see the consumption, but also see the consumption per ton of part produced. Between those plants, you can also see which are the most profitable one in production. Then, if we move on to cost analysis, we have the simplest tariff creation, right? And you also the part of transferring the direct cost to each stage of production. So overall, being able to see how much it costs you to manufacture a consumer piece, and also to help you how much money it's going to cost you to manufacture that specific piece. Last but not least, we have the ease of integration. It has never been that easy to send data onto a platform solution. We have native integrations to the leading procedures of measurement devices, such as SCADAs, databases, etc. You can also send data to the platform via API, FTP, CSV, etc. As I said before, it has never been that easy to send data onto a platform.
You make it sound that easy, Danny, because it is a big complex topic, right? No two buildings are the same, and when you have to bring in data from multiple sources and different systems, you're right, Dexma provide that ease of integration. And when you're able to bring data from multiple sites and different siloed systems, can you then start that multi-management strategy, looking at your portfolio as a whole, being able to break down and analyze exactly how buildings are performing at a site or production line level, and really then focused on the cost and trying to identify those energy efficiency measures. We're going to now talk a little bit about a day in the life of a sustainability and plant director. And I'd like to introduce you to Olivia. Olivia needs information and insight. She has a lot of data across her portfolio, but she needs more insights. And she needs those insights to really help her to get focused on reducing those energy costs. By doing so, she's implemented an energy management system, such as Dexma, to really help her to understand her energy consumption, costs, and carbon monitoring. Danny?
Thank you, Bilal, again for the introduction. So let's take a look at the consumption and indicators. Of course, we have different indicators, but the one that really are focused in the industry sector are active energy, reactive energy. We have also kilowatt hour per units produced, and we also can have several customized indicators based on the KPIs or targets that the specific building or industry business wants to achieve. Then we also have the energy cost and indicator, right? So here you will be able to access tariff by bands and index prices, and also indicators of pound per energy unit produced. Now, also you'll be able to access different power and penalties. So here, pretty much you can monitor the power demand, contracted power, power factor, etc. You will know how much does the excess power, reactive power, etc. cost you, right? So pretty much you will know if you have exceeded the contracted power and how much it has cost you. Moving forward, we have the real-time average, right? So here you're going to be able to access the excess of reactive power, power deviations, etc. So pretty much Olivia is going to be able to access and have at her reach a dashboard with the critical information she needs. All these dashboards can be shared with the different stakeholders within the same building or industry or company, right? Through a private URL. So they will only be able to access this private URL and not the rest of the software or the solution. So no confusion will be created in this case, right? It has never been this easy to share insights or KPIs with stakeholders. The dashboards she can create, allowing her to centralize critical information at the level of the different multidisciplinary teams that feed on this information to monitor and act whenever is necessary. So these dashboards that you see over here have allowed Olivia to finally have the information she needed in order to make different improvements focused on competitiveness.
Thanks, Danny. Again, that journey of bringing all that data together and Olivia being able to start really analyzing and capturing those insights across the portfolio and production sites has given her that ability to move from being reactive to proactive, and with the alerts and various different reports and analytics screens, as you say, she's been able to really get under the skin of where those opportunities are. And with the dashboard capabilities, being able to share that and create dashboards for different stakeholders with the single source of truth of data is essential, because then she's been able to really identify some huge energy saving opportunities. So after implementing this energy management platform, Olivia has now been able to identify those potential projects, and measuring the impact in cost and carbon reduction of these investments is really important. Many organizations have invested in technologies and not tracked the performance of those, not realizing whether they're meeting return on investment objectives or they're performing as they were intended to. So within the Dexma platform, we have that capability of measurement and verification. And here, Olivia is able to now ensure that the funded project to put a solar on the roof is being how it's performing, what they're importing, what they're exporting, and how much self-consumption they're actually able to achieve, because the more of that energy that they can self-consume, you're not having to rely that much on grid energy. Again, the software application within Dexma can really help to manage and track those investments to make sure that they're performing and be able to report against them and share those insights again with other stakeholders within the organization. Again, these can be presented up into dashboards and various other reporting screens to share these insights with other stakeholders. But it's truly important to make sure that this information is made available to multiple stakeholders, because if a plant is not performing to its full potential, it's understanding why and getting those insights to the right stakeholders to make sure that there is either a maintenance issue or something that needs to be done to reach that return on investment target. So Olivia has made some great strides through bringing all of that data together across her complex portfolio, being able to really analyze and understand where and how she's using energy and attributing that cost, and understanding which production sites based on their output are the worst consuming. By investing in those sites, she's already been able to see a huge significant reduction in their energy consumption. They're well on their way towards net zero. So now Danny's going to talk us a bit more about some of the funding mechanisms that are available within the UK and Ireland. Danny, over to you.
Thank you, Bilal. Well, of course, there are many different kind of funding mechanisms in the UK, but I'm going to bring to you one of the two most important ones that I've encountered so far. First, we got the BEIS funding package. That stands for the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy in the UK. So pretty much this funding is what or was created to support industrial decarbonization and drive progress towards net zero ambitions, right? Which is quite common by 2030, 2040, and 2050. And also, this is going to help to create more than 60,000 green jobs, right? So overall, the main offer here is 166.5 million pounds for green technology ideas. So what are the main initiatives for the industrial sector coming from this specific funding mechanism? The first one is Industry Modernization Plan, which is going to help to promote energy efficiency and decarbonization. And the second initiative is Recovery, Transformation and Resilience Plan, right? Which is going to help them to invest in digitalization and sustainability. So this is going to be the first funding mechanism, the BEIS, which stands again for Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. And then we got the IETF funding package, which stands for Industrial Energy Transformation Fund. This is pretty much was designed in 2018 to help business with high energy use to cut their energy bills and also to reduce their carbon emissions. The overall offer here is 315 million pounds, and this budget is going to be available until 2027. Now, the main initiatives for the industrial sector coming from this specific funding mechanism is to promote renewable energies and reduce dependence on fossil fuels. And the second one is to encourage circular and sustainable business models in the industry. Right? As I said before, these are two main funding packages, but of course you can encounter more on the internet, and feel free to apply to them or get more information for the other different kind of packages out there. I would also like to introduce you to a couple of success stories within the industry sector. And the first one I would like to introduce you to will be Gamma, right, which is manufacturing outdoor sports goods. So Gamma, as you can see over there highlighted, the improvements that Gamma made after working with Dexma to conduct an energy analysis in its 4 industrial buildings led to an outstanding 28% decrease in the company's cost per unit produced. Other efficiency gains included 10% in thermal process management, 25% in wastewater treatment, and 70% by identifying and eradicating passive consumption, right? And an outstanding 76% in assembly hall lighting, right? So as you can take a look, Gamma achieved really great numbers overall. Now, if we move on to Taxa, which is a resistant metal parts industry, the energy cost of taxes to industrial units accounted for 11% of its overall costs. However, by controlling their energy use, they were able to improve operating margins by 10% and cut downtime from breakdowns by 42%, almost 0.5%. Additionally, they managed to save 27% on natural gas and 19% on electricity. So the overall common denominator here is pretty much that we are aware that the industry sector, they're high consuming in energy, gas, electricity overall, right? And there is a lot of margin to tackle there and in order to achieve those net zero emissions and cut cost overall. Wow. Finally, I'd like to introduce the last slide to Bilal. So a nice summary and conclusion after this magnificent webinar.
Thanks, Danny. I mean, some hugely impressive results from 2 great examples of organizations in the industrial sector, very different organizations producing very different things, but clearly, as Danny described, some huge opportunities for them to make some significant savings and well on the way, as you described, Danny, towards that net zero objective that they have as an organization. I mean, to conclude, I guess the point is the cost of energy has driven and accelerated the adoption of energy efficiency projects and investments within the industrial sector. from the examples and successes we've shared with you just now, companies that follow that path of centralizing their data from multiple sources across production facilities in multiple locations can really start to benefit from the energy management capabilities that systems like Dexma can provide, really helping to get and identify insights where opportunities for energy efficiency are, and then be able to tackle those through being able to track the efficiency and decarbonization projects with the right tools, by sharing that information, making it freely available through reports and dashboards and various other means. You're able to break down those silos within an organization to make those strategic investment decisions. It is a long journey, and for many organizations, bringing the data together is the starting point. But the adoption of these energy management platforms, as we can see, are essential to enhance the competitiveness. I mean, reducing and improving operating margins by 10%. The numbers are too high not to pay attention and invest in these types of solutions. And as Danny described, there are funding mechanisms now available globally through central government. The ones we've shared with you are more recent ones from the UK and Ireland. But again, there are many government-funded initiatives to really help industrial sector to make those initial investments from a decarbonization perspective. But thank you, Danny, and thank again to each and every one of you that have taken the time to listen to this session today. We hope you found it insightful. Please reach out if you have any further questions. But once again, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much and have a good day.